Today was bad. Light work, people. Light work. Seems we're soft all over the pitch. Got an intro. I'm all giddy and excited already. We got an intro. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Pre-Match Hype on GrizzCon TV, and today it's all about the Merseyside derby, the friendly derby as it was used to be affectionately known, but hasn't been very friendly recently in recent times. And with me to discuss it all, I have obviously Mr. Blue Chip himself, all the way from sunny California, but now currently in cold, wet, windy Slough, I believe. How are we doing?
Yeah. Might as well give my address as well, Grizz. But yeah,
79 Bermondsey Close.
Yeah, no, everything's good, all good. I honestly can't wait to go back now. I've been here for like 2 weeks and it's freezing, and I've got a flu, got a cold. Everything's safe. I've done my tests. Everything's
negative. Yeah, can you tell us, please, because we don't want to get it through
through transmission, Wi-Fi. Yeah, no, everything's good. Everything's good my end. But should be a good one. Should be a feisty one actually. There's a few bones to pick with Mike. A few bones to pick in general.
Okay,
really. A few bones to pick with you as well. So yeah,
okay,
all good.
Fair enough. And of course, I've got Mr. Braveheart himself, all the way from Bonnie, Scotland. Conroy, how are we?
We're good, mate. I'm doing good. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. I've got to be honest, Mike seems absolutely lovely, so I think Abby's going to go for him. And I actually think I'm feeling quite sorry for him already. I've got to be honest. But
well, you know what I mean. I've never seen Avi go for anyone. He talks a big game and a good game, but do you know what I mean? He usually ends up diverting the conversation towards snooker or cricket or something. Do you know what I mean? When
John Parrott,
as the case was
Scottish
a couple of weeks
legend.
ago. But of course, we've got Mike joining us, Mr. Everton from Blue Boys Network. Absolute pleasure to have you on, bro.
I wish I could say the same, but it's not in these circumstances. I feel like Avi's going to give me a full session of like BDSM tonight or something. It's going to be horrendous.
No, nothing of the sort. We appreciate you. We respect you. Thank you very much for coming down. That's the first and foremost thing. Before we start, Dinesh reminds us of R.I.P. Ray Kennedy. Never saw him play, but he was one of the players who started Club Liverpool out today. Absolute magnificent player, from all accounts. And you know, R.I.P. and commiserations to his family and everything. Before we set off on this preview, guys, I suppose I'll come to you, Avi, first, man. Liverpool Everton. Just off air, you was telling me that you're really excited and you was really confident we're gonna smash them. I used to be like that a couple of years ago. They were the sort of almost became cannon fodder for us. But I just want to remind you of our record there, regardless of whether they're crap, we're good, or we're good or we're crap and they're good. We've got one victory in 9 games at Everton. That's our record. Are you still confident that tomorrow is no problem?
Yeah, I am, Grizz. I think the last time we won, there was a Mane winner, wasn't it, back in 2016?
Well, I was going to bring that up, but I've said one. Yeah, talk about.
But the record suggests that we haven't got a great record at Goodison Park in the last 9 or 10, like you mentioned. But there's a lot of sort of I don't know what the word is, but there's a lot riding on this game tomorrow. A lot riding on the game. Last season at Goodison Park, it was a bit of a shit show all over. VAR, the referee, Coot, whatever you want to call him. I've got a few choice of words which I won't repeat on here. The Richarlison incident, Van Dijk, Michael Oliver, who had an absolute shocker that day. There's so many incidents. The VAR decision against Hendo's winner. There's a lot riding on it. And then obviously they turned us over again at Anfield when we just, we're out of sorts. Hendo goes off again with a groin injury and they score 2-0. Again, Richarlison, I think, scores early on, doesn't he? So there's a lot riding on this game, Grizz. And I'm so confident, Grizz, and I know I'm confident every game, but I think tomorrow we're looking at an obliteration of Everton and Rafa Benitez.
Interesting. Avi says obliteration, Conroy, and he mentions, as Avi always does, that we're going to obliterate every team we play. And he's very, very rarely right in any scoreline that he predicts. But interesting, at the end, he says obliteration, and then he mentions Rafa as well. How are you feeling about tomorrow's game? And then now that he's mentioned Rafa Benitez, which I wanted to sort of come on to, but Avi, he tries to cover everything in the first 30 seconds. Leaves me with no agenda left. But we leave the Rafa aside for time being, actually. And I just want to get your thoughts. Are you as positive as Avi? And he's titled the video, actually, Retribution. Do you have those thoughts?
Redemption.
I beg your pardon. Redemption. Do you have those thoughts at the forefront of your mind, or are you just interested in 3 points?
I feel like the certain part of that, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword. That if you want them to understand it's a derby, of course. Like most derbies, it should be with that passion and aggression. You need to win the battle, and then you've got better players so you can overcome, and you should shine through. But I've seen a lot on social media try to make it like more of an aggression instead of like that kind of intensity and passion. That worries me slightly. I think Klopp's kind of said that in a few press conferences as well, that he just wants to treat it like it's not just a normal game, but make our football do the talking. And I would agree with that. I've got to be honest though, notoriously every time we play Everton at Goodison Park, we never ever are able to show how good we can play. Like I don't think there's been one performance in the last decade, or maybe that's too far, but at least the last I can remember anyway, we've never went there and showed how good we can be. Even last season, right, you said that game we should win it, but it was kind of, again, we didn't really stamp our authority. We started well, and I feel like that happens all the time. Even the one game we've won in that, Grizz, is literally Danny Sturridge having a ping in the last minute that hits the post and Manny scores a tap-in. So I think it's a bit like Old Trafford, like we have to show we're good here. I'd love to be as positive about how we can dismantle them, Avi. I think technically we can, but it's a bit of a hoodoo ground under Klopp, a bit like Old Trafford. We never ever seem to show how good we are, and hopefully that can change. I mean, the Old Trafford one changed, so and I think we will win. Don't get me wrong, but it's never easy. I think we actually never show how good we are in these games.
Hi, Mikey. Been a while. How are you doing?
I'm clearly a lot different to you three.
Well, listen. I mean, and I said to you as well, when I said to you, let's have a chat about the preview, I asked you last night and you kindly said yes. And you was like, Grizz, I'm really not looking forward to this and that. And I said to you, and I mean what I said. I said to you in the when I messaged you that something always happens in this game that sort of enables somehow to become a level playing field, whether it's a crowd, whether it's the crowd, whether there's a refereeing incident, whether there's a VAR incident or an injury or a player getting sent off. Something happens in these games always. Surely you cling on to that as an Everton fan. Surely you cling on to the record that possibly the last 2 seasons we've had better teams than our current one, probably, maybe, that have come to Everton and still not won, or as equally as good, let's say, before people start saying, no, we're just as good and we're just as bad.
Yeah.
Surely you've got something to cling on there, that something happens at Goodison which stops us from playing, whether it's a performance from you guys, whether you guys raise it or we have a floppy performance. What is it?
The reason why this is different from an Everton perspective to those derbies where you go into these games and you get that. I've literally just come off another preview and the Everton fan was really optimistic and he was like, we're going to win 1-0. And I sit there and I think, this is the first time a lot of the fan base has felt completely disconnected to the football team on the pitch, the players, the manager, the board, everything. Literally, from Everton, from top to bottom, is a shit show. Like, the recruitment's been poor, money's been spent, horrendous. We're now managed by an ex-Red. We've got Alex Iwobi and Rondon playing every game. It's splendid being a Blue at the minute. We're 5 points from the bottom 3, and we've got a run of, you lot, Arsenal, Chelsea, Leicester coming up. So there's very little to be positive about Everton going into this derby, a game where, you know, and Conroy's rightly just said, you know, about the aggression and it being the wrong type of aggression. You want it to be on a football pitch, but it's going to be very, very hot. Goodison Park is going to be a cauldron because there's going to be a lot of Reds that are going to go there and want revenge for last season. Let's not sugarcoat it any other way. You know, there's a lot of Reds that felt the Van Dijk incident and some of the other factors in that game last season. You know, the VAR decision went against you. And look, from an Everton perspective, if it was the other way around, I would be exactly the same. I would be exactly the same. I would be loving going to Anfield and giving you a pasting, but we kind of know it's coming. Like we are literally braced for it tomorrow. And if we get out of there with a positive result, then these boys have played out of their skin, because I hate to say this, but Liverpool are playing absolutely fantastic at the minute, irrespective of all of the shit that happened last season.
We're going to come back and we're going to speak in some depth about the situation with Rafa and everything, Mikey. Avi, so Rafa Benitez was appointed manager of Everton at the start of the season, and I think it's fair to say there was a split down the Liverpool fan base about how we felt and how we, sort of thought of Rafa. Give us your opinion at the time, and has it changed in any way whatsoever? And because I know you was a fan of Rafa before all this. What's your feelings on him now and the kind of state he's in at Everton?
Look, Rafa, I'll always respect what he did for our club. I wish him well, but I just don't wish him well at Everton. You know, Everton's a football club just similar to Manchester United that we, sort of despise, we dislike. We don't want them to do well. But yeah, when Rafa took that job, it didn't take me by surprise because of his wife. Their daughter still being located in Liverpool. Even when he was manager at Newcastle, they were still in Liverpool, weren't they? Residing and going to school and whatnot, as his daughters were. So for me, I wasn't that surprised. And it's like, okay, he's taking the job. And to be fair to him, I think the first 4 or 5 games, they were, I think, joint top maybe, or they were near the top of the league. They had a good start. And I think that's because they had a fit Calvert-Lewin. Now, the signing that they made in Rondon, he doesn't have that mobility as Calvert-Lewin has, and you can just tell. He got a tune out of Damari Gray and Andros Townsend, who were sort of revitalized and playing well under Rafa for the first few games. Townsend was scoring some great goals. Damari Gray was scoring goals, assisting, and playing well. That's obviously, I don't think they've scored in their last 4. Mike will be able to confirm, but I don't think they've scored in the last 3 or 4 games. They've struggled. I don't know where they're going to get their next goal. It just seems as if they're just repeating the same old thing.
Could be tomorrow, Avi, the way.
Yeah, it could be.
Building it up.
They're sort of, looking out for Townsend to get that shot away from his left. Like he's even at Spurs, at United, at Portsmouth when he was on loan at England, that shot to get off from his left foot. There doesn't seem to be any cohesion in their play. Doucouré was a big miss. I think last game he was missing. It's gone a bit.
Actually back last game. He's been
last
missing.
Game. Okay, he was back last game, but he was missing previously. It's gone a bit tits up for Rafa, but I don't know. It seems as if against Brentford, I don't think the players were playing for him. I didn't see a reaction after they went 1-0 down. I just thought they were poor, and I thought they were poor the week before that as well.
Conroy,
against the City, I think. Yeah.
Conroy, there's loads of backdrop to this game in terms of so many talking points. I think the biggest one. I don't think Rafa is that significant for me anyway. It's not as significant as sort of our last 2 results against them. We actually, Avi's talking like we've been smashing them left, right, and centre. We've actually going into this game on the back of an awful result, stroke draw in the game at Everton, where we saw the season-ending injury of Virgil and Thiago's horrible tackle and the disallowed goal.
Who's saying we smashed them though? Who's saying we smashed them?
The confidence.
Smashed them.
The confidence. Yeah.
Because we're second in the league, Grizz. Look where Everton are. I know you say form goes out the window in the derby, but
doesn't it?
Form did not go out the window when we played Manchester United at Old Trafford. We absolutely battered them.
But see, when we went to...
I think there's more conviction now to beat Everton because of last season. Hence, we're going into this game 100 miles per hour, Grizz. I think we'll play them off the park. I really do genuinely believe that. But okay. I think for tomorrow's game, I don't think this form out of the window goes for this derby. I think tomorrow that team that's in form, that is Liverpool, I think we're going to get the job done in an emphatic way.
Okay.
See,
Let's get that right before you start saying,
I don't disagree with that, Avi. I think what I would say though is, if we look back, was it 2 years ago? Was it the 18-19 campaign? We're playing brilliantly when we played Everton at Goodison. I think we drawn 0-0. It was the same season we drew 0-0 with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer at Old Trafford when they had half the team injured. So there is definitely there's a pattern here under Klopp, especially that there's certain grounds that we just do not turn up well with. And the United one, albeit Avi, that's why I think we can win tomorrow. But there is a lot of proof in the pudding that when it comes to Goodison, really at times when being under Klopp, it's not been. It should have definitely been more successful. So that's why I feel like form does go out the window, and it's not necessarily meaning like you don't have control of the game. I just feel like you never ever seem to play as well as you can. You never seem to be fluid. It always seems to be, even if it's the crowd coming into it, or even the crowd not being there last year at Anfield. I think it gets scrappy, and then Everton want it to be a battle, and they want it to be a scrappy game because that's how they can get a positive result from it. And I think. Yeah, that's. I feel like if we're on our game, we don't allow it to be that, and that's my worry, mate. And I hope what you're saying is right. I just feel like there's a pattern there, especially under Klopp.
He's got a point in terms of when he references and uses the Man United game, because that was the end of this spell, like you just spoke about, where Klopp has his two worst grounds, Old Trafford and Goodison Park, where for some reason his approach, or our team's approach, is totally different to how he approaches certain other games. But as Avi says, we put an end to that Old Trafford hoodoo and went and smashed them. And tomorrow is an equally as poor Everton team. And yeah, maybe he's got a point. I don't think so, but we'll get to the predictions and everything later on. Mike, so Everton hire Rafa Benitez at the start of the season. And I know you was a bit mixed about it as well. The obvious question, how are you feeling now and what's gone wrong? Like, is there a case? I'm going to defend Rafa because I'm a Liverpool fan and a Rafa fan. I'm going to defend him and say he doesn't seem to have had the investment that maybe he was promised, or it looked like you was going to do, because the likes of Townsend and Rondon and who else was there? Free transfers, right? Kind of thing. Damari Gray. Or is that not a defense for the way you've been playing, and the injuries are not a defense for the way you're playing, because you know far more than me?
Yeah, no, so look, I'm just going to correct one thing, sort of, because it leads on to that. So Conroy, I think you mentioned that you, as an Everton team, we want this game to be scrappy. To be honest, actually, that would be the worst thing.
Well, I just meant in previous years, Mike, I've not watched loads out in the season, but I'm just saying usually if it's like last year, if it's a bit of a fight, there can be a more positive outcome.
Yeah. No, it's just because there isn't a single battler on that pitch for Everton in terms of have that mentality where our back's against the wall, we need a result. The Brentford game was huge for Everton because we are shit. We all know we're shit. It's obvious we're in the league table where we are, and we needed to get a result in that Brentford game because we've got such an horrendous run of games coming up, and they bottled it. And Rafa Benitez made one substitution in that game. He left Rondon and Iwobi on the pitch, which by all means are championship footballers at best. And there's three strikers on the bench who don't get any run out. Now, yes, two of them are kids, but these kids are 20 years old and have a point to prove, trying to become full-time footballers in the Premier League, and going to come onto that pitch with some aggression, some fight, and some belief that they're the next big thing. Rafa Benitez didn't look at that once. He made one substitution in that game, and we went out to Brentford in a whimper. And this has been a story of Everton all season, which is why with Rafa Benitez and this Everton side, this is why I'm very much Rafa out. And it's not because of the investment. It's because Rafa Benitez has got a group of players here, which in my opinion should be slightly higher up the league than 15th. And the results, the way we've played, the defending, is simply not good enough. And that isn't a direct dig at the fact he used to be a Liverpool manager, that I almost exclude all of that, because if I didn't exclude all of that, I'd be devastated that he's managing our football club. But he did a decent job at Newcastle. He did a great job at Valencia. He did a good job at Chelsea. He seemed like the big enough name to not necessarily replace an Ancelotti, but to come in and at least the managers would look up to Rafa and go, he's been there, he's done it. But I think his time in China has significantly reduced his. I'm not going to say his credibility, because that would be harsh on him, but it's certainly not helped him. And he's came to Everton, and he's not the only problem. He's not. The squad are a big problem. The board is a big problem. The owner is a big problem. But he's not helping himself by sticking to Rondon, who he trusts, because he's crap. And that's not me digging him out. He's just not an Everton player. And I get he's had injuries. I get players haven't been able to play. I get Richarlison's been out. Calvert-Lewin's been out. But there's kids absolutely chomping at the bit. There's different ways we can set up to defend. There's ways we can push Luca Dean further up the pitch to be a bit more of a counter-attacking side. And he hasn't done all of that. He played a low block against Brentford and tried to hit them on the counter-attack. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable.
I just want to come on. I just want to come on that, Grizz, if I may. Mike, totally get your points and about the youngsters. I think even at Liverpool, and Grizz may be able to correct me, or even Conroy, I don't recall a youngster coming through our system through Rafa in the first team in terms of league appearances. I know he used to play the kids in the League Cup, occasionally on the FA Cup, but I can't remember him playing ever upgrading a youngster to the first team squad. Correct me if I'm wrong, Grizz. Anyone that comes through?
Probably Miller, but that was for a short period of time. That was to come in, and he done well, Miller, though. That's obviously Champions League and then a go against Arsenal, but that was just a temporary thing.
And just another thing, Mike, like when he first took over in 2004 from Valencia, he came in, our league form was patchy. The first 6-7 months was very patchy. We finished 5th that season, but we won the Champions League. There were some decisions, I think, early on which were baffling. I think there was a result away to Bolton, which we lost 1-0, and we were just terrible. And people were like, is this football the kind of football that, we want to see? Because the Valencia football style was very different to what we were seeing in 2004. So I think he should be given time. And I think he should be given time because of there is the Liverpool whole, ex-Liverpool manager. So the back foot's on him. The back foot's already on him straight away, straight from the
He's on the back foot. He's on the back foot.
He's back on the foot. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah,
the back foot would be on him. I get Mikey wants to put his back foot on him.
Yeah.
Mikey wants to put his back foot on him, but he's on the back foot is the right term.
Back foot. So surely, you give him till the end of the season. If he finishes for argument's sake, 8th, has a good cup run, gets quarterfinals, even a semi in the FA Cup. Surely for Everton, and look, I'm not being disrespectful, as a Everton for where you are at the moment, that would be a okay season, good season.
Mate, we're nowhere near that. Like, you could have said to me, we get knocked out of the FA Cup in the 3rd round and we finished 12th, and that's a good season. This team is as close to a relegation dogfight as I've ever seen in my life. There is nothing, and yes, Rafa Benitez is absolutely not to blame for that. Like, he's not. But then sorry, go on, Mike. Let you finish. No. But Rafa Benitez has equally only had 1 win in 10. And that is something I can criticise a manager for when we've played games like Watford at home. And
Mike, would you be higher up the league if Calvert-Lewin was fit?
Probably, yeah. But equally, even with Calvert-Lewin fit, we weren't. I mean, think about some of the results we've got this season. We went behind to Southampton at home first game. We come back and won. We went behind to Burnley at home. We come back and won. Now, I'm not disputing that Rafa tactically might have got them games right and maybe he set up wrong in the first place. But whatever he was doing then isn't happening now. And that fight, the players don't look like they want to play for him. And if we are seriously, no matter what, Rafa gets the next 5 games for me. Whether he leaves or not, it doesn't matter, because no person in their right mind wants to walk into Everton Football Club who can't spend a penny because of financial fair play and have got the run of games coming up, because essentially they're on the back foot from the moment they walk in. No manager does that. if Rafa Benitez manages to turn it round, get a result away at Leicester, get a result tomorrow. I don't see it, but get a result tomorrow. Get a result somehow against Chelsea. Turn some of these games that we're not expecting anything into a point, 3 points. Then yes, he's definitely going to get more time, and I'll be wrong for criticising him as I have. But at this moment in time, I feel so disconnected from this manager and this football club and this group of players that I don't trust any of them to do anything.
Conroy,
Quite damning.
Mike's made it very clear how his stance is, and I think it was clear from the scenes after the Brentford game, wasn't there, where the team tried to go to the away end and the away end just wouldn't have it. So this game tomorrow can work in a couple of ways, can't it? This could be their stepping stone to better and greater things if they somehow pull off a result. Now, result, I mean victory or a draw. They could galvanize their season. It could. And as we know Rafa Benitez loves a fucking challenge, doesn't he? When he's seen as the underdog and has a chance to pit his wits against one of the greatest coaches in world football right now and just stop him tactically. Or it could be, I think, literally the end of Rafa, couldn't it? It's that finely balanced right now, because if we do manage to, like Avi claims, we're going to thrash the shit out of them.
Obliterate.
Obliterate. Yep, sorry. Why did I use thrash the shit? Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry.
Okay.
Obliterate them. This could be Rafa's final game, or if not, one of the final games for Rafa. Is that finely balanced, right?
I think so, Grizz. It's very surprising, though, isn't it? Because if anything, you hear lots of documentaries, lots of interviews. Rafa's biggest thing is his attention to detail. And that's why he's tactically, and people used to say, oh, how could you be so cold as a manager, would be so successful? But he's tactically one of the best ever. Like, he really is. Like, he just understands, especially to disrupt teams. Like, you talk about the 04-05 Chelsea team. I mean, yeah, he really is brilliant at that. But because of what I'm hearing, what I've seen, and from what Mike's telling me as well, obviously watching much more than me, even when like we were poor at times, Avi's right, but I just don't know where he is in his career. If maybe I would go for the latter. I would still say that Rafa's got that in him. Like, he's very good at just disrupting matches like that. Even if you think when Newcastle, I think, got relegated, or that year, I think there was a few big teams in those games, and he managed to cause quite a made it difficult through his tactics, and that wasn't a great team. I still think he's got it. I fully expect him to be studying us, and as you say, having that well, he would call it a scalp. If Everton draw 0-0 tomorrow, Rafa Benitez would love that, because it would just show that this kind of new era of coaches, with Klopp being one of the best in the world, to say, hold on, I'm not done yet. So I could see that happening, to be honest. As I say, I've been more pessimistic tonight, but I really hope Avi's right. But I think when it comes to tactical decisions, from what I've seen, obviously Mike would disagree with that from this season, I still think he's got that in him. So, but we'll see. Time will tell.
Can I just add there,
Yeah.
just one quick thing, is you know, and honestly, that's exactly what I expected when we got Rafa Benitez.
Yeah.
That is exactly it. But then, if you look at most goals conceded from corners, Everton.
Yeah, the Watford game as well is a prime example. That's the most un-Rafa Benitez team I've ever seen. That game.
And balls in the box, Everton can't defend headers. Now, yes, we're missing Yuri Mina, and that is a.
And you missed Ben Godfrey for a significant period as well. That's both your centre backs missing, Mike, for a fair bit.
We did, but even Ben Godfrey is half the player he is alongside.
Yeah, he's not been in good form. I do like him, but he's not been in good form.
He's a talent.
We go into this game, and from an organisation perspective, that's the problem. These things that you've just mentioned about Rafa being a good tactician, a disruptor, someone who's very solid, can stick 10 men behind the ball and be very compact. Trust me, I haven't seen any of that. I haven't seen any of that. And that is exactly what we need right now.
Yeah, that's why it's so surprising, mate. It is.
Just going to stick with you, Mike, because Brush asks you a very good question. Shout out to Brush, who's a fantastic guy in the chat who helps us a lot. He's one of the admin. Not admin, what's the word? Moderator.
Moderator,
That's it.
Grizz.
Yeah.
You're getting
Soon
your
to be-
term. You get your terminology wrong tonight, Grizz. Come
I
on.
told you
step
I'm
it
not
up.
feeling well at the start, and
Yeah, sorry,
you're
apologies.
bullying me. So can you stop it? Brush asks you, Mike. The trouble is, where do Everton go if they sack Rafa? The man has a wealth of experience, whoever comes in will suffer with no transfer budget. I forgot about that. You have financial restrictions, don't you? Because of what? Can you explain?
Mashiri, won it?
Can Mike explain?
It's honestly. How long's this stream on for, boys?
Just give us
So-
an overview.
Yeah. So
just
okay.
the 1 hour, just the 1 hour.
Okay. So before this summer, in terms of net spend, because we like, no disrespect Liverpool fans, but you like talking about net spend. That's not a dig. I'm just saying. And Everton have got higher net spend than Liverpool, and the only teams that are above us is Man United, Manchester City, Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Inter Milan. So that makes
Wow.
Everton, in the last 5.5 years, the 6th highest net spend in world football, £500 million. And this is the team you have.
That's insane.
Yeah.
How
Now-
how can you not?
Iobi for 36 million. That's what it is. Stupid fees.
Balassi 30 million, Klassen
Yeah.
23 million, Michael Keane 30 million, Sandro
Oh,
Ramirez
God.
7 million,
Look at
You
these
know,
names.
Gylfi Sigurdsson 47 million.
Claessen's not even there anymore.
Well, you could argue Sigurdsson was actually successful, to be fair, for the amount of goals he scored, but there's a lot of other ones that are.
Yeah, well, and so that's the team, right? So that's not Rafa's problem. He's walked into that. In terms of what Brush has just asked, where would Everton go if Rafa was sacked? Well, the problem is, as I said earlier, no manager worth his salt in anything is going to want the Everton job. But who would? Let me ask you, Grizz. Grizz, I'm going to offer you a job. You're going to be on decent money, but you're going to have no way of progressing to go forward because you're going to have your hands tied behind your back. You're going to have a board that aren't going to listen to your decisions, and you're going to be expected by the fans to achieve miracles and compete for Europe. Does that sound fun, Grizz?
No, I'd probably go back to El Nino, coaching my own Barking a district league
No,
team.
Grizz would say, "I'm too busy with YouTube. Sorry, I've got a podcast."
Yeah, to be honest with you, I've got a couple of streams on. Do you know what I mean? Like give me a break. But
So that's what I mean. So no manager
Mm.
walks in, and this is why Rafa, as horrible as this is, and it might be using him to a degree, which I'm sure Liverpool fans have got an affiliation with Rafa, and they won't want to hear this, but Everton probably need a bit of a scapegoat at the minute, and I actually think that Rafa is the perfect shield for this Everton board, who can sit behind him, who can get away with the fact that he's the ex-Liverpool man, and this is his team, and it's all a load of shit. Whereas that board behind him get away with murder. So look, you sack Rafa, fair enough. Like Duncan Ferguson probably comes in, probably gets the team passionate for a few games, gets a few results, and then we look at a new manager come January. That's what would happen. But
Avi, sorry. Yep.
But if you keep Rafa Benitez in charge, at the very least, you have got his experience. And when he does pull that one result out, which he's more than capable of, because we've all seen it before, there's going to be a little less pressure on us. So it's a real tough one. For me, I think we need a blurb. I think we need someone who Everton affiliated in this club to show some passion and drive. And I would give Ferguson the next 5 or 6 games. I'd have sacked Rafa today.
Big dunk.
Ooh, Avi.
Yeah.
All this talk about Rafa and sort of the demise of Everton and sort of how we come into this game tomorrow. How are we, or how are you tackling this game then? So look, from a tactical point of view, it seems as though Rafa's only way of playing, it seems like, from what Mike is telling us, is he's playing his usual very low block and trying to use the pace of Damari, Gray, and Townsend on the break. Do you see any?
Is Richarlison back tomorrow?
Richarlison's back tomorrow.
Is that,
yeah.
okay, fair enough. He's back.
So Richarlison will be back tomorrow. So how are you expecting us to tackle this game tomorrow in terms of setting up tactically and to make sure, and what's key for us tomorrow?
The key for us, Grizz, I think, is an early goal. Because look, no matter the problems that they have at Goodison Park and 8:15 kickoff, the fans will be up for it. The Everton fans will still show up. The Liverpool fans will show up. So there will be a bit of hostility towards our players. There will be a bit of booing in the first sort of 5-10 minutes.
A bit.
Early, there will be roaring and whatever you want to say. They'll be booing every LFC touch. That once our players get the the feel of the ball and whatnot. But I think it's important that we get an early goal. First 10 or 15, get an early goal, and that'll settle the nerves. And then the Everton fans will go into their shell. Then they'll start sort of getting disgruntled and booing at halftime at the Everton players. So it's an early goal that is key. And we scored early last season. We scored early last season at Goodison Park. We got off to a flying start. It could have been 2-3 before the Van Dijk injury. So it's an early goal. Patience, keep the ball, Grizz. That's all we need to do tomorrow. Keep the ball. Let these guys chase us. And with Thiago, Fabinho, I think the key man will be Henderson, just because of the mentality, captain. He will know that there's going to be a lot of aggression in our plays, let alone Everton plays, in our plays. So he will be the calm head that we need in that middle of the park. Early goal, Grizz, and these guys could fold. They could fold like anything, like
a deck of cards.
Like dominoes, a deck of cards or a line of dominoes, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
And if we don't get
that
early...
fat lady sings.
Yeah,
if we don't get the early goal, Grizz, then it's patience. If we get into halftime 0-0, it's still a patience game because we can break Everton with that midfield. We can bypass the midfield and their defense. Keane and Godfrey, like Mike said, I'm a big fan of Godfrey, but the last 3-4 games, he's been below average. Forget about average. He's been below average.
Conroy, I'm wondering if you can give me a tactical insight. Like Avi's not giving me any tactical insight. He just said get an early goal, which is brilliant team talk. Get the early goal, lads. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
And we'll be fine. Conroy, how do we tackle this game tactically tomorrow from how we've been playing and how Everton have been playing? So how would you expect our setup to be? We won't go into individual teams.
We're not going to set up as a 4-5-1 tomorrow, are we? We're going to set up as we normally do, 4-3-3, Grizz.
Sure.
You're acting as if these rocket science tomorrow. We should no. As you're the host, you should already know what the assignment is tomorrow from last season. Klopp would have
Get an early goal.
Klopp would have drummed it into these players.
on the board as they walk in, no tactics. Get an early goal.
Drop
We're playing one of the poorest Everton teams in years. They're there for the taking. There's not much of a team talk.
Avi, see when Everton score in the first 10 minutes, I'm clipping this up.
No, Mike, I think Mike is going to clip this up.
I'm retiring after this. Don't worry. If they score the first 10, I'm retiring from all parts.
Yeah. The thing is, right? People in the chat will know, and they're coming for Avi because they know Avi, has hardly anything right. So, like, you know what I mean? He's just saying this, yeah. But anyway, is what it is. Conroy, what I mean by that is we've been employing a very open midfield recently. When I say open, I mean attacking midfield. We've been using Fabinho as the sole six, and we've discussed this sort of in recent past where we know the back four near enough, and we know our strengths and weaknesses. It's just that midfield where we're playing two very attacking eights, as opposed to sort of in recent seasons where we're playing Gini, Wijnaldum, Henderson, and Fabinho, which is far more defensive and structured. Surely there's nothing to stop us from having that same mindset. And as Avi says, and as Mike has alluded to, that the state of this Everton team, we should have nothing to fear, and we implement that very game plan even away from home. Surely we don't expect any Jurgen Klopp surprises in team selection, because he has thrown a few, few wild cards when playing.
Spanners in the works.
Spanners in the works when selecting lineups against Everton.
Yeah, I think we talk about the kind of tactical from Liverpool's point of view. I would say, obviously, Everton playing a low block. We've had experience of teams playing that recently. I would say, at the weekend we had Fabinho and then kind of Thiago as the move, more attacking but kind of balanced, and then Ox or Hendo, whoever you want to pick, really committing on that right-hand side. I think that'll be the same, really, that right-hand side 8 pushing and as I say, try to take whoever's on the left side out of position to allow Trent to occupy that space, or then Hendo doing an overlap if Trent comes inside. Because we've seen that a lot recently. And it isn't exactly like it was at the start of the season, Grizz, because I know Trent was coming central quite a lot, when especially when Elliott was there. It's kind of like that, but at times it seems to be more variety. So I feel like they'll employ that again if it is either Ox or Hendo really trying to pull their men out that block to create the space for Trent or Hendo to get in there, and that's been working quite well. So I feel like we'll employ that again, and especially the way Fabinho and Thiago have been playing, with Thiago kind of in between, pushing up a bit more than Fabinho, but also being a bit more balanced. But I think on the opposite side, I think we'll go into the players later, but I feel like on that side you've got a slightly different dynamics. I feel like you tend to see the fullback and Mane link up more there with Thiago, kind of a bit more infield, so he can play that, thread that ball through and kind of dictate it. So I think that balance will be quite similar to most games. But I've got an eye. I think Trent's going to excel tomorrow, or especially with the space we'll create with the kind of more expansive midfield. So I think that'll be one to watch for me, would be the right hand side. And it'd be interesting to get Mike's perspective, because I know last season a lot, or even the season before, people were saying Dingley is one of the best left backs in the league. I've not watched him as much this season, I've got to be honest. But would you say he's still at that standard, Mike, or has he declined slightly? Well, that's the answer we need.
Slightly. I've said it. I've said it since we signed him. Luca Dean's brilliant going forward. If he's got that license to go forward, delivering balls, shooting from outside the box, brilliant. He's almost a better winger than he's left back. But going backwards, he can't defend. And Trent has got the pace. He's got the guile. He's got the ability to beat him on the right hand side, on the left hand side, no matter what Trent chooses to do.
Mane, you mean Mane? Mane
will be against Coleman, though, won't he?
Yeah. So it doesn't.
Oh, sorry. Trent and Salah. Yeah.
It doesn't really matter, because what will happen is Mane will absolutely dominate Coleman, because Coleman's no longer, at the level he was, and Luca Dean is not at that level either. So all you are going to have all game is Everton pinned in their half with Trent popping balls into the box. That is what's going to happen. I genuinely think that's what's going to happen. Or that little inside pass into a Thiago, and he can pull the strings.
The interplay's been better, Mike, but it's not as kind of predictable this season. They have been mixing it up, so it's maybe a ball in and then switch with Hendo. Yeah,
that's much better at that.
Mike, do you think he'll play Gordon just to protect Digne a little bit this season? Because I know he's been.
I don't want to get into the team selection. I don't want to go into the individuals. I just want to talk about the setup first, and then we'll go into what we think the team's going to be.
Here's what I was mentioning when he mentioned Trent. I said, because Digne has done really well against Trent in the last season and a half. He has done really well against him. Do you think he will play Gordon in front of him to stop that right hand side sort of going forward, or do you think he'll play
I think. I think we'll play three in midfield, so we can take one over from them and leave the three up top to hit you on the counter. That's what I think Everton's plan will be. I think you'll see a very solid three in the middle of the park for Everton.
You've mentioned a couple of players that I did want to touch upon. Coleman, Seamus Coleman, who's I used to like Coleman a lot. I want to ask you: has injuries changed the way he plays now, or is it just a natural regression with age and sort of catching up with him? You've mentioned Digne. You've also. I wanted to speak about Digne. I wanted to speak about your fullbacks, because he had big boots to fill, didn't he? Leighton Baines was a marvelous fullback, and obviously, as Conroy says, there was a lot of praise. He heaped up on Digne. People comparing him to Robertson, etc. As people say, like one of the best fullbacks. So. With that in mind, and how Conroy and to a lesser extent Avi described how we're going to set up, how do you counter that? How do you think Rafa tries to stop that in terms of a formation and tactics? Surely he doesn't ask his wingers or fullbacks to bomb on.
No,
if they haven't already been bombing on, and I don't think they have. From what you've been telling us, it's a very low block and trying to sort of hit us on the counter. How will he set up in midfield, do you think? And and maybe going to individuals now. So how do you think you will set up against us to try to get a result tomorrow?
So I think the three in the middle for Everton will be Alan, Delph and Decore. And I think Alan and Delph's job will be to go left and right. I think Decore will play through the centre and be that ball carrier from defence to attack to allow Gray, Townsend and Richarlison to hopefully touch wood cause you problems. Because if Delph can go in and sit on whoever comes, whether it be Trent, whether it be just Salah just tearing it up, I think we need to double up on whoever's got the ball on the left and right hand side, because they will get dominated. Coleman and Luka Dean will get dominated. So by doubling up on them, but allowing that extra player in midfield in Decore to just have that space, I think that is the way for Everton to go. It also allows, if we do win that ball back, it allows that ball into Decore or into one of the fullbacks, or sorry, into one of the centre backs to go long. And that is what we're going to have to do when you've got your fullbacks out of position. We're going to have to target Gray and Townsend running down your channel and Richarlison causing problems to your two centre halves. That's what we're going to have to do. I think if I was the Everton manager, that's how I would set up tomorrow.
Mike,
sorry, Avi. Decore's been out for a little while. Tomorrow, I just wanted a quick opinion on Decore. Is he fit? Will he be fit enough to play 2 games in 4 days after a long layoff? Does that worry you slightly?
No. Honestly, this bloke's like the Duracell bunny, mate. You can keep going.
Fair enough. Avi, you was going to say something.
Mike, you're probably gonna, and this could be the hot take of the night. Do you think he might give St. Tosin a chance tomorrow instead of Rondon, just because of the legs and because he's played on Sunday? I mean, back onto Wednesday again.
It depends how he sets up. If it's the way that I personally think he should set up, then no. Cenk or Rondon would start. It would be Richarlison as the vocal.
To the middle.
With Gray and Townsend either side of him.
Would you start St. Tosin tomorrow, Avi? Like as a hot take?
Look, as a tactician that I was on my Football Manager games, I would play a 4-5-1 against Liverpool tomorrow with St. Tosin as up top. Yeah, I would.
Unbelievable. I mean, Tosin's not been seen on the face of this earth.
I had a very successful resume.
He is without doubt. He's without doubt one of the worst strikers to ever set foot in the Premier League.
Right there. £27 million.
Big Sam.
But our brains at Grizcon TV would play him tomorrow, Mike. I just want to let you know he would start St. Tosin up ahead of Rondon, Richarlison.
So would I.
You'd start Tosin.
There you go, Grizz. Thank you very much.
Over Rondon,
Thank you very much, Grizz.
Grizz, I'd start you over Rondon, mate.
Yeah, that's different.
Now that's saying something. That's saying something because I've seen Grizz in person. His mobility is not all up there, so he might do more than that.
Rondon, I'm telling you, can't move.
Tosin, my gosh, I've never seen a
Cenk Tosin.
You can pronounce him all you want, mate. He's still shit. But Avi, tomorrow, how would you set up then with the Liverpool team? Any changes? Any surprises? I know you were shocked at the team lineup last week, and we won 4-0.
Not shocked. I thought Tsimikas and Ox were going to continue playing, but look, I'm not the manager. Klopp again paid a blinder by playing Robertson, who was absolutely phenomenal man of the match, and he played Hendo. I did have some reservations on Hendo that game, but it's fine. I told you, I think we said it on Sunday, I would play as close as possible to the game last season at Goodison Park. So I would play Alisson, Trent, I would play Matip, Van Dijk, and I would play Robertson. I'd play Hendo, Thiago, and Fabinho, and then I would play Jota, Mane, and Salah. I know Bobby started the game at Goodison, but he's injured, so I'd play Jota. As close as we can to that Goodison game last season.
Yeah, you mentioned that on the last show, and it's true. I think, even though I'm suggesting, Conroy, that Klopp has thrown a few wild cards in there in recent past, when we play Everton, we can't see it tomorrow, right? It means way too much. It comes at a very crucial time. I think we literally go for the kill and pick our strongest team, and I think it's probably pretty much the same as Southampton, barring one change.
Especially, I think the 4-0 win, and I think the way, I know it's been a bit of a debate on Henderson's form, but I think he was pretty decent again, especially with that pass for the second goal, and I feel like the team's pretty good with that, just continue with that form. And I think Henderson, especially because it's Everton at Goodison, the derby, I think Henderson goes in instead of, the wild card possibly playing Ox, who has played well. But for me, it'll be Henderson because he also has done well with Trent on that side, kind of pushing up and creating space and dragging Everton or the opposition's players out of position to allow the space down that right-hand side and the interplay coming from that side. So, yeah, I would go with that. And I can't see any surprises. I could be wrong, but usually, from my memory, when it comes to these games, Klopp just tends to go it that way. It doesn't tend to be rock and roll in these type of games. It's quite standard lineup.
You say that we don't We don't tend to go rock and roll. Sorry, I think Avi's, even the way Avi's describing it, I think I'd probably favor that approach tomorrow in terms of
to go with like
of
heavy metal for tomorrow.
yeah, because
I can understand that.
just because of the fact, and again, using Avi as a reference tonight, that Man United game, Conroy, because that Man United game was very similar in terms of how we were coming into that game, clear favourites, in form. Man United, absolute pile of shit, and we enforced and we showed them what level we were at. Almost, not disrespect, but sort of, we're at this level, you're at the level. We're not going to play the occasion. We're going to play the game.
Yep.
Know what? I think it's almost, and I know I was joking with Avi about it, but it's absolutely vital that we get that first goal, because I genuinely do think, and I think Mike will agree as well, if we get that first early goal, that crowd will get very toxic very quickly.
Yeah, and I think what you said, Grizz, some of the comments said it earlier when I was saying that we think we can, that kind of hoodoo is gone now, and I hope it is, and maybe that's the way to go about it, because you can maybe afford to take. We talk about risk reward with Liverpool's, like especially the way Trent and Rob will play pushing high up and stuff, but maybe tomorrow's one of those games you can afford to be a bit more gun ho is the wrong word, but you can really press high and really try to pen them in, and if they nick one, if you just go with that. No, maybe not be saying we're going to keep a clean sheet just to kind of take the initiative in the game. Maybe that could work, Chris. I do tend to feel like there is a narrative that he's not as rock and roll as I think maybe opposition fans feel like Klopp is in these games, but maybe tomorrow that's one of them, and like, I can completely understand that, Chris.
Even though the game was at Anfield, Chris, the 1920 season at Anfield, when he started Shaqiri, Lovren, and Origi, that first half, it was.
But see, I think Anfield's different, Avi, though, for me.
I get that, but I think that's the same sort of energy and the same sort of press that we need to do tomorrow. We've got to forget about the fans tomorrow, because it should be in our minds already. Get that early goal, and the fans will turn on Rafa and the players. And then
but Jonathan Davis makes a very good point, though. He goes, United were stupid enough to come out and attack us in those first 10 minutes. Everton will sit back all game. Mikey, that is pretty much how they will. See, I think Rafa's in a tricky situation there, Mike. Obviously, the position they are in the league, but almost how he approaches this game. Because if he does approach it with 4-5-1, the crowd won't like that either, will they? So is the crowd gonna urge him to, attack this game, or will they support the team whilst they sort of formulated in a low block?
I actually the reason why the fans have turned on Rafa is because Rafa's made a rod for his own back with Rondon and some of the teams and the subs and stuff. My
God, you're not a Rondon fan, are you? I bet he scores tomorrow. Let's pin this. Remember this.
I do not know an Everton fan that is either, by the way. But if Rafa sets up in a low block tomorrow, and Everton don't concede within 30 minutes, trust me, the Everton fans will back Rafa's decision. Like, interesting. We will. Rafa's making it difficult because of the decisions he's making. If he gets it right tomorrow, every Everton fan, including myself, will say, well done. Absolutely well done. You've proved me wrong. Now, please go and fucking do it again in the next game. Whereas if he goes out and attacks Liverpool, and let's be honest, if Everton go and try and attack Liverpool, you've got Everton who are bottom of the form table with 1 point in 6 games, going up against someone who's probably top of the form table. We're going to get pumped 3-0 by half-time, at least, if not more. So if he gets it right tomorrow, and if he sets up a low block, I don't think any Everton fan will criticise him for that, because we already know that, yes, Rafa's a problem, but he's not the main problem. The main problem is the people above him and the players on that football pitch. And unfortunately for Rafa, he had very little say on either of those.
I'm amazed. I really am.
There's more chance, seriously, there's more chance of Everton fans turning and supporting Rafa than I think they are their own board.
Wow.
That's how fucked this football team is.
It's a United situation, isn't it, really?
But
So
it
honestly,
shouldn't
mate,
be. But I think this is unfair, though. Avi, come to you. I find this unfair. Like comparing it to the Ole situation, it's totally unfair. This is Rafa's first season. He's not been given any money to spend to bring in any type of player that he wants. He's been fed scraps. Yes, Damari Gray's been a clever and astute signing. Yes, Andros Townsend to a certain extent, but nothing else really, right? And he's expected to work. He's expected to work miracles. Add on top of that the injury list that we reeled off, like
Calvert
key
Lewin.
players.
Yeah.
Do you find Everton fans, or is this unfair on Rafa, or would you be the same, knowing what Rafa was like as a Liverpool manager at times, very frustrating in terms of very pragmatic, whatnot?
He was frustrating. The title, the season that 08-09 when I thought we should have really won the league. He was very pragmatic at home. Like I still remember the 2-2 draw to Hull. Like it was frustrating sometimes Rafa's teams. But I think Calvert Lewin, Mike, is a huge loss to you. I think and he's another player that has shocked me the way he's come leaps and bounds in the last sort of 18 months. I think he's a fantastic player. And I think if he was fit, you wouldn't be where you are in the league. You wouldn't be. The football might still not be pretty, and it might never be pretty under Rafa. But it's effective football. It's football that is worthy of a top 10 finish for Everton. I think if he was fit, I think games against like Brentford, all right, you lost 3-0 to City, but City are different, they're in a different spectrum right now. There's games where I've seen and I thought, Calvert-Lewin, he would chase down those channels. Rondon isn't that anymore. Rondon's absolutely, he's battered at 34, 35. He's just a big lamp up there. And like you said,
the criticism for Rafa, and this is, straight up, the criticism for Rafa is he almost appears scared to change it, like the Brentford game. He trusted players that Everton the fans have no connection to Iwobi or Rondon or some of the
But
other
who's your
players.
options currently, Mike?
Well,
Who are your
but
options
But
currently?
this is the thing. In that Brentford game, for example, as I said earlier, Everton fans have got more connection to kids that we want to see try and play for the shirt and be ambitious and, want to prove themselves. Look, our best two signings this season, our best two players or three players this season, we all know it's been Townsend, Damari Gray and Decore. We all know those three players. But the reason why is because the fans can relate to those players as having a point to prove. Decore wants to put himself in the French midfield. Difficult job, obviously, with Pogba and all of the quality they've got. But he wants to go, I'm better, I'm a good player. And he's been brilliant for Everton this season. Damari Gray, scrap heap, finished, done. 26 years old, failed at Leicester, went to Germany, was poor, comes to Everton, brilliant, point to prove. Townsend, finished at Palace. His left foot's gone, his right foot's gone, he's 31 years old, finished. Great signings, great players. The difference is with Rafa, he's brought in Rondon, who doesn't give a toss. He's brought in players like Coleman, who, as a captain in that Brentford game, Everton should have won a Stonewall penalty. If you watch the game, the player's shirt was pulled off his back. He didn't shout at all. Rafa Benitez should be dragging his manager to a side there and having a right go at him, getting up off the bench, showing some passion, showing some pride to manage Everton Football Club. And this is your issue. Everton can't relate to the players that are in this team. And if Rafa Benitez continues to not play players that the Everton fans can relate to, he's just, as I say, he's making a rod for his own back. I would love Rafa to succeed. I put money on Rafa joining Everton as a manager. I won money on Rafa Benitez coming in as manager. I wanted it to work. But he doesn't make it easy, this bloke. He doesn't make it easy at all.
But Mike, playing devil's advocate, I can't think is there many managers when they're in pressure for a job would play kids. I mean, it's not something that happens very often, is it? They're usually, if they make that signing, they'll stick by that signing.
But I think he would get less stick for it though if he did pay the kids.
Exactly.
But a manager's not dictated on how crowds respond. They're dictated on what they believe in.
But ultimately, Conroy, he's going to be judged by the fans. If the fans get off his back.
No, but Avi, what I'm saying is, I can't think of
an
example straight away. I can think one off the top of my head where a manager's done that in a pressure situation ever. So
I've seen Rafa Benitez with one game in 10 games with Rondon up front. I've seen Everton do nothing with three other strikers on the bench that Rafa Benitez has basically gone by not bringing them on and still having two subs available going, I don't trust you to change this game. I trust Iwobi and Rondon to change it who are already on the pitch. That's madness. Like, that's ridiculous. So in that situation, I would have brought on the Marcus Rashfords, the Greenwoods that, you know, have had that chance.
Marcus Rashford just got in the team though because Martial was injured. That one's through luck.
I tell you a similar-
Circumstances make these players come in.
A similar situation right now.
There's not loads of examples of that. That's all I'm saying.
Koeman at Barca right now was stubborn to play the youngsters. There's 3-4 kids knocking from the Barca B team. He wouldn't give them a go. He got sacked. What does Xabi do? First training session. He's brought in three, 4 of those kids.
Different types of managers, though.
No, but Conroy, he's giving them a chance. The fans are back on side with Barca and the board as well. Even the board are getting credit now.
I get that. Other managers got different techniques. All I'm saying is there's a reason not everyone does that if they maybe go with experience. I'm not saying it's correct, and I get what you're saying, mate. I do agree. I'm just saying certain managers just live and die by their stubbornness. That's what they do.
I've seen enough of Iwobi, Rondon, but I haven't seen enough of Ellis Sims, Dobbin, who have ripped it up in the under-23s and under-18s for years, who have scored lots of goals at that level. And I absolutely get, in this game, for example, I'm not talking about playing kids, but in that Brentford game, 1-0 down, 70th minute, with nothing to lose other than going 2 or 3-0 down, why is he not making that change? Why is he not giving them that?
I'll give an example because Bielsa put Gelhardt on last week for Leeds. So, like, some managers do it. I'm not disputing it. I just think others disbelief the stubbornness with certain managers. So, yeah, it's fair enough, mate. It's a good point. But I just think you can tell some managers literally will get sacked over their stubbornness.
And that's what will happen with Rafa at Everton.
Yeah, look, one thing we know about Rafa throughout his managerial career is he's one stubborn mule. He absolutely is very, very adamant that things have to be his way or the highway. Now, obviously, Mike, it seems as though it's the highway very soon for Rafa. Is there any chance of him playing 5? Have you got 3 fit centre backs? What is the situation? Because I was thinking, and I was listening to someone speak about Everton Liverpool game tomorrow, and an Everton fan, and he was suggesting that Holgate may come into the lineup as a third back. Now we don't like Holgate. I'll speak for Conrad, I speak to Avi, and I speak for every single Liverpool fan. We hate Holgate. But he does seem to be okay, maybe I'm wrong. But is he a bit of a fan's favourite in terms of how he's not a fan's favourite either? So you can't see him coming in.
Not even close. But what I will say, and Grizz, I don't disagree with you, by the way. I actually said in my preview, Everton are either going to play 4-3-3 or 5-4-1 and allow for Holgate to come into the back three or Delph.
Sorry.
Or Delph.
This
Mate, the Dixie Dean statue moves quicker than Rondon.
Oh my God! All this Rondon slander, guys. Go and fill your boots tomorrow. You know what's happening. Anyway,
Chris, can I just add the comments were good comments here. They give a good example of a manager who done it under pressure, Saka and Emil Smith-Rowe for Arsenal. So fair enough, that's a really good one. Good comment.
So all I'm sort of it's either going to be Delph or Holgate. It's either going to be Delph in midfield or Holgate in the back.
I get
either one of them.
Has he played 5 at the back this season though?
Once. So
it's very unlikely he changes it.
He played it once against Manchester City, and we got tore a new one. And
even his time with us, Avi, he very rarely played 5 at the back, did he?
I think he might have done it when remember when Mauricio Pellegrino came when we played Southampton that first game, we got battered 2-0. It was a proper battering 2-0 because we never got a shot on target. I think he played 3 at the back, Hippier, Cara, and Pellegrino, and then he had these 2 sort of Hosami on the right, and I don't know.
Yeah, I can't see him playing.
I think he'll go 4-3-3.
So go on then, pick us your team. No, pick us the team that you think that will start tomorrow, Mike. Tomorrow, lineup and give us a prediction.
Yeah, so Pickford in goal, Luca Dean, Michael Keane, Ben Godfrey, Seamus Coleman, Alan, Decore, Delph. The
old dogs of war in midfield, basically.
It's got to be, mate. We've got to try and go man for man with you, like in midfield, and Richarlison and and Gray, Townsend, whichever up front. Score prediction. I think Liverpool 4-0. I don't even think Everton will have a shot on target.
Jesus Christ.
That's higher than mine. That's actually higher than mine.
I'm honestly, look, genuinely, I won't be the only. I did a one of these spaces on Twitter yesterday, and there was genuinely a person in there that
Was Keith there? Was Keith on that, Avi? Was Keith there?
Honestly,
Everywhere.
somebody said it'll be 4-0 by half time. So
Wow.
I don't think you'll be that open. You won't do a United. You're not going to do that.
No chance. I think
it doesn't matter because we can't. Even if we're not open, we can't defend. So we don't have to be open. We can be as tight as a gnat's arse, and you're still going to break through us.
No, I'm with Antico here. He's saying stop falling for it. Stop falling for Avi and Mikey's all this glamour.
My predictions since I've been in this country have been spot on, Grizz. Porto, Arsenal, Southampton.
Favourites to win the game, though.
The score predictions have been right.
You're getting a bit of fiver back if you put that on a coupon.
3 out of 3, mate. 3 out of 3. I'm gonna clip my score predictions from now on. I'll clip them for tomorrow.
Oh my god, Avi, go on then, son. How do we set up tomorrow, lineup wise, and what's your score prediction? That's not going to happen.
I think we'll go with Alisson, obviously Trent, Matip, Van Dijk, Robertson, Thiago, Hendo, Fabinho, Jota, Salah, and Mane, and we're putting 4. My prediction is 4-0. I think it could be 5 or 6 tomorrow. I really do. That's with conviction as well. No doubt in my mind we're scoring above 3 tomorrow. No doubt in my mind.
You do know if we don't win tomorrow.
I've got apple pie, right? I'll put some humbleness on it tomorrow night on the call-in show, Grizz, with you, and I'll eat it on show if we draw, lose, or don't win above 2-0.
I think it'll be better if you don't turn up on the show and sort of and please just.
Grizz have already clipped it up by then. Don't you worry, that'll be on
social
media since Everton score 1.
Can we all agree? And I think the chat will agree. Can you sack yourself? Like I can't sack you. I can't sack you because you're my brother, you're my mate, you're my agent, you're my everything, right? But can you sack yourself, please? If we don't win tomorrow, please. I mean that. Can you put it on record, please?
I will set up my own channel with like 5 views. Yeah. 100%.
Who cares? Just please get off mine.
No. We win. Look, all jokes aside, 4-0 tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he is, Charlie. I don't know I don't know how to control him anymore.
My score predictions have been right in the last 3 games.
Which ones? Me and Conroy have sat with you through every show.
You don't give a prediction. You don't give any prediction because you.
I'm not here to. I give my predictions on other shows and on other shows.
Other shows. Yeah,
I'm hosting here. The host never gives. When have you ever fucking seen a host give his team a prediction? Please, I'm a professional here. I'm the fucking ultimate professional.
Mr. Richard Whiteley here from Countdown says I can't make a prediction. Why can't you make a prediction?
No one does. Have you ever seen a host give a prediction?
Why can't you give a prediction? You're not hardly Richard.
I make the rules.
Are you?
I make the rules, son.
Since when?
Since I made this channel.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, right.
Tim Lovejoy does not make predictions, right?
No
this
one
is Soccer
does.
AM, early 2000s.
From now on, I don't make any predictions myself. Then
he's never watched any form of football program ever in his life, and it shows.
Avi, did you get Arsenal right though? Did you predict 4-0 for Arsenal?
I did indeed. You can ask
Ivan. Fair play. Yeah. That's
okay, Jersey boy. Can you tell me which host
gives predictions? Thanks, Jenny boy. Yeah, thanks.
Jersey.
My man.
Can you tell me who? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know which. I'm a fucking professional, Adam. You know, I am a fucking professional. Right, listen.
In fairness, Grizz is probably given about 17 predictions before he gets on the show, so he's probably had enough by that time, to be fair.
Exactly. You know, everyone knows. Can everyone get on the Big Six? Shout out to my Big Six crew. We do a prediction show for that. I'm not here to make predictions. I'm here to listen to your bullshit. Anyway,
right.
Conrad.
Same lineup. I'm not going to say.
So we all agree Matip comes in for Konate. We're adamant.
Yeah.
And we're adamant Ox doesn't come in. We're also adamant there's no wild cards from Klopp this time.
Klopp could throw a wild card, but you're saying give our lineups. I think that's the lineup that I think he will go with. Yeah. He'll go with similar to last season.
I don't think there'll be like a Origi or a Minami. I don't think there'll be anything like that.
Okay, fair enough. And your prediction, because people are saying, look, Avi's. People remember your predictions. You didn't say 4-0 to have games. People know you're lying. You're lying. You're lying. You just lied. Anyway,
We've got
sorry.
the tapes. They've got the tapes. That's
Yeah,
what
exactly.
they're
I've got the clips. Yeah, I've got the clips.
saying.
Okay.
I'm going for I'm going for less than Mike. This is mental. I'm going for 2-0. This is unbelievable.
Look at
2-0
him.
Liverpool.
Negative 2-0.
What's negative about it?
Get me 3 points and getting the train home. That's all I care about tomorrow night.
People in the chat, give us your predictions before we finally call it a day. I mean, I want to hear sort of, are we as a fan base sort of getting a bit ahead of ourselves? This is the Merseyside derby. As I've said, we've had better teams go there, in my humble opinion, as good as these teams go there, and not win in a lot of games. Can you tell me, Avi, because you're the encyclopedia of football,
Loads of 4-0s coming in. Loads of 4-0s coming in. Yeah,
can you tell me 3-2, 10-0? Yeah, there's your younger brother.
That's Ali. Can you block Ali Saab, please? Just block
that's
him.
your younger brother. How can I
nonsense.
block your younger brother? That's your younger
Ali.
brother predicting 10-0. You know, he's the can you tell me the 2 players from our last victory there, Avi? That will be starting tomorrow. The last 2 players from our last victory.
Mane and Hendo.
Well done, son.
I don't think Hendo started that 2016 game when Sturridge hit the post and Mane. I don't think Hendo started, but we could.
Van Dijk's ball lofted into the air and Pickford dropping it into the net. Wasn't that your last
Origi,
one?
Anfield, Origi.
No. Last win at Everton.
Goodison Park.
Goodison Park. That's the last game.
Get the stadium right at least. Come on.
It's amazing. It's amazing that
I forget because we built all of them. I forget. Sorry.
No, he was having a go at me.
You know when you
got boys, look, just fucking respect
when you guys told me that we've only won once in the last 9 games, I'm actually shitting it now a little bit. So
because you don't do your homework and research.
Maybe I got to hush up a little bit. No,
Avi's going to have a massive come down after the stream to be like,
it could be my last race. It could be my last swan song. It could be my final swan song. Yeah.
I'm actually.
How many of them have Everton won out of the last 9?
I think there's
I bet them all draw.
Yeah, great question. Can someone tell us in the chat how many Everton have won out of that 9 or 10 games?
They've never beaten Klopp.
No, I think most have been draws. I think most of them have been
1-1.
Rodgers 1-1. Ings and then
1-1. Okay, Omar says only 1 win in the 10. Interesting. But
so it's 4-4 tomorrow then.
I've got mixed emotions about tomorrow night. It's either
can you give us 3
points
please?
And smash them. Can I finish, please? I've got mixed emotions about tomorrow. It's either smash Everton and carry on this amazing little mini run that we're back on after the defeat to West Ham, or just beat them with a 1-0 scrappy win and Avi not to be on my shows ever again. I'm not sure which one.
A little final swan song then, a little song for my retirement.
Yeah, but lads, it's been...
anyway, here's Wonderwall by Avi.
Because maybe...
Yeah. Ali asks if I'm going tomorrow. No, I'm not going tomorrow. I'm going to be watching it in the comfort of my own home. I genuinely think it's going to be tight as per. We absolutely should go there and win. We absolutely have the far better team, far better players, far better coach right now. People asking how someone in the chat earlier, actually Real Ball Talk, sorry, shout out to the boys at Real Ball Talk if they're still in the chat, asking how I felt about Rafa. I love Rafa, but I've got no love for him tomorrow. And that's the way it should be at the highest level. You show respect, but, you know, when it gets to the pitch, it's the proverbial war. I don't mean the war that we've seen in recent times and recent games. I don't want no players to get injured either on their side or on our side. I'm not one to advocate anything like revenge or anything like that. We should absolutely focus. I'm with Klopp when he spoke about in the press conference that we need to just calm the tensions around this game. The last thing anybody wants to see is any players out for a long period of time. You know, and so therefore I just want us to go there and smash them. I think it'll be a very tight game. I'm actually going for a prediction of 2-1 to us. Yeah, some people would. Some people would take a defeat to get Avi out.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant. I had to bring that up.
Absolutely. I'm going to go for 2-1, Avi. I don't normally give predictions on this show, but just for your sanity and benefit of sleep tonight, I'll give you mine 2-1 to the Reds tomorrow. But nothing like the 4-5-0 that you're predicting. The game won't be nothing like your prediction. I can tell you also that. You can film this and clip this. Nothing like what you're saying.
Just like you said about Southampton game, you thought it was going to be a tight
you know,
game, draw maybe.
I predicted 3-0, so I don't know where you're getting that from. Go and check all the shows.
Twitter's going to be brilliant either way. In the first 30 minutes, it's going to be Avi with the gifs or the memes, or Grizz, one way or the other.
He knows I'm coming for him, and he knows not to fuck about with me, but he has. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. Listen, it's been wonderful, Mike. It's been wonderful having you. Hopefully, we've given you a bit of a smile and a laugh. You know, do you know what I mean? To sort of get you through.
Always. It's always great to do videos with you guys. Honest to God,
Brilliant stuff.
It's a scary game tomorrow for us, but we'll see how we get on.
Brilliant stuff. And Conroy, Avi, obviously we'll be exchanging messages as the goals go in or not, as the case may be. And we'll have a field day on Avi's expense. Guys, Avi, do we do the intro on the outro, or what do we do? Because I'm a bit confused. We didn't plan this shit.
Shall we? We can give a taster to.
We can go out in style, can't we now? Because we can use the intro for the outro. Do you know what you're doing, or shall I just carry on talking while you work it out?
I can do it. Ready? All right.
Let's
good
go.
night. God bless everyone.
Good night, people. Let's do this. See you later.